What's up, you guys? My name's Kevin. Today in this video, I'm going to detail my thoughts on Chime Bank, a financial technology firm out there that offers a lot of unique features but may not be the right account for everybody. I make videos like this every week about real estate, personal finance, investing, reviews of banks, so if you like this kind of stuff, be sure to give the video a like and subscribe. Now let's get into it. So what is Chime Bank? Well, Chime Bank is a bank. It's an online-only bank that has no physical branches anywhere, and it's mobile only. So you sign up for it on your phone and you could use all the features on there for your checking and savings account needs. The reason why I think this is so important is because a lot of people sign up for bank accounts through their local branches like Bank of America or Chase or Wells Fargo, and they don't realize that they're going to be paying a lot in fees every single month just to have the account. That's unnecessary. Chime Bank does not have any sort of fees whatsoever, but there's also a lot of other banks out there, online banks primarily, that don't charge you fees like Bank of America and Chase do. For example, Bank of America and Chase might charge you $10 or $12 or $15 per month just to have the account, which is over $100 a year. That's absurd. You are just using it for a checking or savings account. You shouldn't be paying the bank money just to have that privilege. And Chime Bank doesn't have any fees of any sort, so you don't have to worry about it there. Now, Chime Bank has a lot of unique features about it that are even different compared to other online banks out there, and I think they're really worth mentioning. One of the coolest features that I like is the fact that it helps people save money a lot easier than they traditionally would. If you have to think about saving money every time you transfer money into your savings account, it's going to be a little bit of inertia, and you're not going to do it as frequently as if it were automated. Now, Chime Bank automates this process in two different ways. The first way you could do it is to transfer a set amount of money every time you get paid. So every time a paycheck comes in, you can set it to be 10% of your paycheck automatically sweeps into the savings account at Chime Bank, and that is something you don't even have to think about. Every time you get paid, a little bit automatically transfers to savings. That's pretty cool. The second feature of the automatic savings is, I think, even cooler, because if you use the debit card from Chime Bank for your everyday transactions, it'll actually round up to the nearest dollar the amount of money that you're spending and transfer that difference into a savings account for you. For example, if you buy a cup of coffee and it costs you $2.55, well, it'll round up the difference all the way to $3 and transfer that 45 cents into a savings account. You do it automatically. You don't even think about it. Every time, little by little, every time you spend money, you're actually going to be saving a little as well. This feature is actually really similar to the Acorns app, which many of you have probably heard of before, and I think it's actually the best selling point of Acorns, and it's one of the cooler things about Chime Bank and something that I haven't seen out there with a lot of other online banks. Another unique thing about Chime Bank is that you can actually access your paycheck up to 2 days early if you set up direct deposit with Chime Bank. What I mean is, if you're paid on the 15th of every month, you can actually access that money on the 13th of every single month instead of having to wait until the 15th. Now, this is a pretty cool feature, especially if you do it and you see it right away. You could access it 2 days early. But if you're used to getting paid every 15 days or so, then it's really not going to have very much of an effect on you once you get used to receiving that money 2 days early, because if you move it over 2 days, well, you're going to be paid 15 days after that, and then you're kind of in the same cycle again. But it's a pretty unique feature that I think is kind of cool, especially if you want to have that money accessed a little bit early on the first time. Now, since Chime Bank is an online bank with no physical branches anywhere, accessing cash can be an issue for a lot of people. But fortunately, Chime Bank has 38,000 MoneyPass ATMs that you can withdraw money from with no fee whatsoever. They do charge you fees on ATMs that are not in their network, and their network is not as big as other competitors like SoFi, but the Chime Bank MoneyPass ATMs can probably be found near you, and it's a pretty low bar to pay for not having any fees on the account at all if you're going to compare it to traditional brick and mortar banks. So you can still access cash through Chime Bank by getting withdrawals from ATMs around the country, but it's not going to be as good as having a brick and mortar bank, but I think it's a trade-off most people would probably take. Chime also has a pretty unique thing too with their debit card, where it's similar to Chase Offers, if any of you are familiar with that, where you can actually access unique codes and unique sort of cashback discounts on particular retailers if you use your debit card from Chime at those retailers. For example, sometimes you can swipe and you can get up to $5 off of, a pair of sunglasses from a particular company if you use it through their app, or you can get a certain percentage off if you're using your debit card at certain retailers. It's an added little feature and is a little bit better than a lot of debit cards out there, which actually offer you nothing at all when you're using them. But by and large, I'm going to get into it later in the video, I don't think you should use your debit card on traditional everyday transactions if you're looking to get rewards. A few other things about Chime Bank that I would mention is that it is FDIC insured, which means that your deposits in Chime Bank are protected as much as if they were in a traditional bank like Bank of America, because the federal government insurance is backing those deposits up to a certain amount. Now, I'll have a link in the description to talk a little bit more about FDIC insurance, but it's really not that complicated. Just know that your deposits up to a certain amount, $250,000 in 2019, are going to be protected in Chime Bank just like they would be if they were in Chase or Bank of America. A few other features about Chime Bank I think are worth mentioning is the fact that you have access to bill pay through Chime Bank, which is not something you have with other firms such as Wealthfront as of the date of this video. And you also have split the bill features where you can actually split the bill at a restaurant using your debit card app by sending money to your friends. There's no foreign transaction fees with Chime Bank, and it has a really clean mobile app as well, which I think most people will find very useful, especially compared to more regional banks. Now, with all that being said, I think Chime Bank is pretty good, but let me tell you the downsides that I see with this particular online bank. The first problem I have with Chime Bank is the same problem that I have with every other online bank out there for the most part. It's the fact that you can't really deposit cash into Chime Bank with any sort of ease to it. What I mean by this is if you want cash in Chime Bank, you have to transfer the money from another bank or another party into Chime Bank. If you have cash, you can deposit it in Chime Bank, but you need to go to a green dot location and pay a fee to do so. This is not a good option for most people, and I recommend always having at least one brick and mortar bank out there if you can, if it's not going to cost you any money, just so that you can have the access of the physical branch to deposit cash if you need it. Me personally, I don't carry a lot of cash around me at all, and any cash that I do have is just petty cash in my wallet, so it's not a big feature for me to not be able to deposit cash into a bank like this, but I think it's worth mentioning. Another major downside to Chime Bank is something that wasn't really talked about online a lot, but I think is really worth mentioning. Like I said, they have a checking account and they also have a savings account. Now, the savings account is really where things can go wrong. Like I said earlier in the video, I like the feature of Chime Bank being able to automate your savings. That is something that everybody should do because saving money for the future is very prudent and everyone should try to save at least a little bit. And if you automate it, it's always going to be better than you have to think about it every single time, because if you get money, it's easier to spend it than to save it. That being said, Chime Bank's savings account rate is atrocious. As of the date of this video, it is 0.01%, which is the same as all those brick and mortar banks out there, and actually lower than some of them. I believe like Chase is slightly higher than that, but Bank of America and Wells Fargo are all around that near 0% interest rate. This has been the case for a long time with the brick and mortars, and I'm surprised that it's been the way with a technology firm like Chime Bank, because when you compare it to other online-only banks out there, like SoFi, like Wealthfront, even like Ally and Goldman Sachs, you can actually get significantly more interest at those other online bank savings accounts than you would with Chime Bank. You can get up to 200 or 250 times the interest rate. What I mean by this is if you had, for example, $1,000 in your savings account and you had it in 0.01% interest, you'd be earning basically nothing. You'd be earning de minimis amount of money. But if you had it in a place like Ally and you earned, for example, 2% as of the date of this video, that's $20. That's, a couple bucks a month that you would have in your savings account that you are not going to be getting in your Chime Bank account for all intents and purposes. So for the fact that Chime Bank doesn't have any fees of any sort, this is kind of like a hidden fee in a way, because you would be able to get that money if you had it in a different account. And that's why I recommend people not having a savings account at Chime Bank. So with all of that being said, Chime Bank I think is a pretty good bank. Better than most out there, certainly better than brick and mortar banks, but it is not something that I would personally use or recommend as the sole or even one of the options in my bank account slew, the things that I would use every single day. It is not something that I'd recommend, which is why I do not have a referral link to Chime Bank in the description at all. I know there are referral links out there if people are sold on Chime and they want to get it. I think there are referral links out there that'll give you $50 if you sign up, but it's not something that I personally endorse and not something that I actually believe in, so I'm not going to link it below. So with all of that being said, what are the things that I do recommend you getting if you're looking for an online only or even just a pretty good bank to use that you want to use for your checking and your savings? Like I've talked about before, I really like SoFi. It's very similar to Chime insofar as there are no account maintenance fees and no hidden fees of any sort. The difference is, however, you get 2% interest on all of your money in that account, all of your checking money and all of your savings money. It's a combined account. I have videos on it and I recommend checking them out. And like I said, SoFi, like Chime, has no fees of any sort. And if you use the link below, it's a referral link. You don't have to use it. You can go online and use a different one. You'll get $50 if you deposit $100 in that account, which is pretty awesome. Nice little bonus to use. I personally like SoFi a whole lot. It's very easy to use. The network of ATMs is broader than Chime Bank's network of ATMs. SoFi itself is a really great platform with a lot of good learning tools and a lot of other tools as well. Student loan refinancing options, the ability to invest, yada, yada, yada. Check out the other video if you want to hear more about that. But that's what I would recommend in place of this. I would even recommend Wealthfront in place of this because Wealthfront will have the features that'll become more useful over time. And as of the date of this video, there's no fees on the account, and you get a really stellar interest rate of over 2% on that Wealthfront account. Another thing I mentioned about Chime Bank, which I touched on earlier in the video, is the debit card usage for your traditional daily transactions. I don't recommend doing that actually for any account. I wouldn't recommend having most of your daily spend on a debit card. And the reason is because you do not get rewards and you do not get protection with a debit card like you would with a credit card. Now, I have videos on credit cards. I recommend people checking them out, but here's the long and short of it. If you use a debit card and you're out in the world and you spend it and your debit card is compromised, you could be liable for substantially more money than you would be if you're using your credit card. There are different rules and different protections, and it's kind of esoteric, but that's the high-level overview. And the second point, the more practical point for most people out there, is that with a debit card, you're not going to get the same rewards that you would if you used a credit card for that same transaction. So with Chime Bank, if you use your debit card in your transactions and you swipe on your account and you're able to get the $5 back or the percentage back at a particular retailer, that could be a pretty good thing. But for most people and most transactions, they're not going to be spent at the places that Chime Bank has rewards for. For example, for me, I spend a lot of money at Costco and Trader Joe's. Those aren't things that show up or that I've ever seen or are going to be planned to show up on the Chime mobile app. So I wouldn't earn any money on that at all if I use my debit card. By contrast, if I used a credit card, for example, the Chase Freedom Unlimited, which I have a link for in the description below, I would get rewards on everything that I spend. I don't have to worry about swiping and making different choices on where I purchase things just because the app tells me to. The Chase Freedom Unlimited earns 1.5% cash back on everything they're using. So if I'm at Costco, if I'm at Trader Joe's, if I'm even doing bills online that I'm paying with a credit card, I get 1.5% cash back on that. That's clean, that's simple, that's gonna be really good. There's actually ways to increase that cash back too. Check out my other videos if you want some ideas on how to do that, how to maximize rewards for ultimate travel. It's something that I really recommend doing. I haven't actually paid for travel myself, any airfare or hotels, in years thanks to using credit cards. And the Chase Freedom Unlimited has no fees on account maintenance fees at all, so long as you pay your bill in full every single month, which is obviously what you should do. If you sign up for it too, you get, as of the date of this video, a $200 bonus if you spend $500. That's pretty awesome. So between the two, between SoFi and Chase Freedom Unlimited, you can get $250 basically for free just by kind of using your spend through those two platforms, or using SoFi as the savings account vehicle and then using Chase Freedom Unlimited to actually spend the money. So that's something that I'd recommend in place of Chime Bank. So overall, Chime Bank is pretty good. It's not great. If you're gonna have only a few accounts out there, I would not recommend having Chime Bank personally. I think it could be really good for some people. If you disagree, please let me know in the comments below. Is there something that I'm missing? Is there something that Chime Bank offers you that you would rather have with Chime Bank than any other firm out there? It's not something that I would, but I'd recommend going with other firms, SoFi or Wealthfront or Ally even, and pairing it with a nice credit card that you can get to rewards and protection on. I would not recommend going with Chime Bank, but it's a pretty good bank and it's way better than a lot of brick and mortar banks out there because you're gonna avoid all those fees and you're gonna automate your savings and do other things like that. So if I missed anything, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think. If you like the video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe to this video, let me know what you wanna see, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.